Hey guys, it's Brittany here with Braid Knot Fibers, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do the half double crochet, which in UK terms is referred to as the half treble. I'll be using the Bernat Maker Home Deck t-shirt yarn, which is a weight 5 bulky t-shirt yarn, and I will be pairing it with a K 10.5 or 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now this t-shirt yarn is absolutely perfect for the beginner, especially paired with a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook because of the stitch definition that you'll get, and you'll see that in just a moment. Okay, so I've started here by creating a slip knot, and I'm just going to cinch that yarn up on my hook, remembering to leave enough space to where my yarn will slide freely up and down on my crochet hook. Alright, then we'll go ahead and get started by making a foundation row of 8 chain stitches. And remember, to create your chains, you just want to yarn over by bringing the yarn in front of the hook and pulling through your loop. Alrighty, so as you can see, we have our foundation row of 8 chain stitches, and look at that stitch definition. Alright, so just remember, when counting your stitches, you never want to count the active loop that's on your yarn, or on your hook, sorry. You only want to count the little V stitches to the left, or below or to the side of your hook, not the active yarn. Okay, so you need to remember that as a general rule of thumb, the half double crochet requires a turning chain of 2 stitches. Therefore, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the yarn in front of our hook, and we're going to skip those first 2 stitches, entering our hook into the 3rd stitch away from our hook. Now, I like to insert into that top loop of my stitch, then yarn over by bringing the yarn in front of the hook and pulling up a loop. You should now have 3 stitches on your hook. I like to slide them down to the fattest part of the hook for consistent tension. Now yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Congratulations, you just made your first half double or half treble crochet. So here is where we placed our last half double crochet, and our next stitch is going to be to the very left of that first stitch. Now of course, if you're crocheting left-handed, you'll be working from left to right. So your next stitch will be to the right of the first. Alright, so preparing for our next half double crochet, we're going to yarn over by bringing that yarn in front of the hook. A really helpful tip here is to just use your index finger to stabilize those 2 loops that are on your hook. Then you can go ahead and insert your hook, grabbing the top loop of that next stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook, and again, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. There you go, our second half double crochet is completed. And since we started with a foundation chain of 8 and we skipped our first 2 stitches for our turning chain, we should have a total of 6 half double crochets when this row is completed. Alright, so yarn over, go ahead and look for that next unworked stitch. Use your index finger to stabilize those loops, then insert your hook, grabbing that top loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you have 3 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So we have created 3 half double crochets, and we have 1, 2, 3 stitches left to go. Okay, so just work down your line from right to left or left to right if you are crocheting left-handed. Remember, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. It'll become muscle memory after you do it so many times. Alright, so now that we have arrived to the end of our row, as you can see, we have placed 5 half double crochets, and we need 1 stitch left to go. So we'll place it right in here into this last unworked stitch. Alright, so working this last stitch, I've yarned over. I'm going to insert my hook and pull up a loop, and I like to just slide those loops down on the fattest part of my hook. As a beginner, it really helps with the tension. Then I will yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on my hook. Alrighty, our first row of 6 half double crochets is completed. Alright, so before we move on to the next step, just take a note and look at, before we chain, we have 3 loops on our active yarn. Now once we chain up 1, it will change to 1 loop on our active yarn, as you can see here. Now remember, for our half double crochet, we need 2 turning chains to build the appropriate height. Then we can turn our work. We turn our work because of course we're working from right to left, or left to right if you're crocheting left-handed, but we need to make sure we avoid placing our first stitches in our turning chain, because we are essentially going along the top ridge of our work and placing new stitches into the tops of the previous row stitches. That's a mouthful. All right, so let's go on. We're gonna yarn over and remember to grab that first stitch. It's pretty evident when using this yarn. Here's a really important tip. When you insert your hook, you wanna make sure that you grab both of those loops of that V-stitch. So you're grabbing both the front and back loops of that V-stitch. You want both of those stitches on the top of your hook. Once you know you have both of those loops or stitches, you can yarn over and pull up a loop. Then you can yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. All right, 1 down and 5 to go, as you can see here. So just know that if you look down the top ridge of your work, you can see all the V stitches. This is super important when you are a beginner, just to make sure you're counting your stitches and that everything's accounted for. Okay, so yarn over, go into that next unworked stitch, make sure you have both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. There we go. Again, you just want to continue with the motions as you count your way down your row. It really does become muscle memory. Eventually you don't even have to think about it, you just do it. Alrighty, so as you can see, we have arrived at our last stitch of the row, our 6th stitch, and sometimes it can get lost, but with this really nice yarn, it's pretty evident where the stitch is. You just want to make sure you're grabbing both of those loops of that last stitch. Once you've identified that, you can yarn over and pull up a loop. Now we'll just yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and it is that simple. We've just completed our 2nd row. Alright, so you know the drill. You would just create your 2 turning chains for the half double crochet, turn your work to where you're working from right to left, and keep on going. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching my video. If you found it helpful, go ahead and smash that like button for me, and sub with notifications if you want to be notified every time I post an upcoming video. Before you go, feel free to follow me on Instagram to see my current projects, get a look at Frayed Knot Fibers behind the scenes, and have a chance at winning an upcoming giveaway. Stay tuned because I have lots of fun projects planned. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.